I tried to rub my eye and stuck my finger in my glasses. Um, hey, so it's probably almost midnight. I think I'm having my worst night in Italy so far, which is shocking considering my very first night in Italy. I was almost stranded without a place to stay in Ancona, but it ended up being that I got a car and I got to the place where I was staying, and my friend brought me wine and food and pastries, and I had dinner out. So the first night actually turned out really nice, but tonight has just been a comedy of errors. I signed up for a cooking class at my school, Luca Italian School, and and it's kind of pricey, but I thought, okay, this one time, how many chances will I get to do a cooking class in Italy? And so the class was supposed to be 3 hours, and an hour after the class, I had scheduled therapy for my normal time. There's not that many times that my therapist and I are both available because she's in Seattle. And I thought, oh, but an hour after the cooking class, that should be plenty of time. I show up to the cooking class. I'm pretty hungry. I didn't really have lunch. I just had some gelato, and then I was too tired to cook, so I took a nap. But I figured, oh, I'm doing this class. They're probably going to feed us all this food. I don't want to show up full and not be able to eat anything. So, I mean, we're doing things. She's showing us stuff. We're making pasta, and time is passing and time is passing, and they don't feed us anything, just wine. And I'm getting really hungry, and I'm like, I'm really hungry. How long have we been in this class? And I realize it's been 2.5 hours. The class was supposed to only be 3 in total, and we're nowhere near eating. Um, and I go to the teacher and I say, hey, I thought this class was only supposed to be 3 hours. I have a thing at 8 p.m. Are we going to eat before then? And she goes, oh, no, 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 no. No, it's much more flexible than that. That's just an estimate. And so I'm like, so we're not going to eat. Then she's like, no, it won't be. It won't be done. Maybe some of it will be done. I'll give it to you to take with you if you have to leave. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm really stressed because I can't, if I cancel therapy last minute, I still have to pay for it, Not to mention I could probably use the therapy after the week that I've had. and um and then on top of that, last minute I get this email from the opera company that I'm doing a show for in January. Hey, can we have a production meeting tonight? Which would be immediately after when my therapy is. So it's not like I can push my therapy back. In either way, I'm going to have to go to this other meeting. And then on top of that, the place where I've been staying, when I arrived, there were only sheets on the bed and no blankets. And which was okay for the first night because it was sunny and pretty warm. Yesterday, it absolutely poured rain. And today, it's poured rain again. It's very cold. And there were some blankets in the closet, but when I took them out, they had a terrible smell of cigarette smoke. And I tried, but I could not ignore it. It was so intense. It was so unpleasant. I couldn't sleep with the blanket on. So the last few nights I've been sleeping with like every article of clothing that I have because I'm so cold. And finally today I reached the host, and he was actually super nice, and he said, I'll wash the blanket for you. Um, I was like, fantastic! I can have a blanket tonight. I can get some sleep and not be so cold. And I had originally thought I would be back to the apartment by like 7:30 after this class was over, And so I write him and I'm like, I don't know, this class is taking forever. How late can you come? And he says, oh, well, I can't really come much later than that because I have to be home to tuck in my kids. So it's like I have to go to therapy. I want my blanket so I can sleep tonight. Um, all of these reasons why I need to leave. And meanwhile, the class is just going on and on and on, and they're not feeding us, and I'm getting so hungry and I'm just panicking. And so this whole experience I'm letting it get ruined for me because I'm so stressed out about all of these reasons why I need to leave, and the fact that I've paid for this class and I'm not even going to get to eat the food. And basically it ends up being 7:45. It's almost 4 hours since we started the class. They finally give us something to eat. And I have to start my therapy in 15 minutes. And so I basically end up getting some bread, a couple pieces of fried zucchini flour, which is nice, but still, I mean, it's just a few bites of soup, and then that's it. I have to leave. And she puts this baked pasta in a Tupperware for me. But the rest of the meal, I maybe I'll get to eat it tomorrow when it's left over and it's been sitting in the fridge for a whole day. I don't know. So I'm pretty upset. I'm pretty frustrated that things went down that way, and so I'm walking back to the apartment. And on top of that, today I find out that the damage that I did to the rental car, because I looked away from the road because I let myself get rattled when Google Maps directed me into a forbidden street, it's going to cost $500 to fix. Because as it turns out, it wasn't just a plastic covering on the top of the engine that protected from dirt. In fact, the damage was much more serious. They did send me pictures, so it's not a swindle or anything, like it's genuine. A part of the engine was actually cracked. So the damage is actually pretty severe and could potentially have been very dangerous. So I'm glad that nothing happened. I mean, ultimately, that's the most important part, but it's going to cost me €500. And that sucks because I had the car for a week, and it's in total probably going to cost me about $1,000 because of all the damage for that 1 week of having that car. I mean, I could have bought a car for that amount of money. So I didn't feel great about that. And then also feeling like I kind of not wasted the money on the class, but definitely felt like it wasn't money well spent. And so I'm walking back to the apartment, I'm crying because I just feel so bad about these two things that happened. And I get back to the apartment and I'm like, well, at least I get to have therapy. I'm just rushed in the door, just in time. And my therapist isn't calling, and she's usually right on time. And so I try and call her and I can't get through. And I realize it's because my Italian phone number, sometimes it just won't let me call anyone, even though I have, Wi-Fi, even though I have a connection. And I try and figure out what the problem is, but we can't figure out the problem. And meanwhile, my next meeting is coming up. So in the end, we ended up canceling therapy. She didn't charge me for it. I don't think she's going to charge me for it because the extenuating circumstances, which is kind of her. But in the end, after all that, I could have stayed for dinner. I didn't know. And then also, even though I got back to the apartment late, the host actually ended up showing up a little after 10 p.m. with a blanket. So I did get a blanket after all. Yay. I have a blanket for tonight. And then I had to go to a meeting, pretty shaken, pretty upset, and I didn't have time to prepare anything. So I feel bad about how I presented myself, and just generally it's been a pretty disappointing night. I mean, nothing terrible happened, but it's more just kind of, I felt like it's hard when something goes wrong and you feel like maybe this might be your only chance to do it. And, or it was just something that wasn't worthwhile and you feel like you made a mistake, made bad choices. So I'm feeling pretty upset tonight. I feel like all of the stressful things that have happened tonight have sort of piled on, and I'm going to try and go to sleep. But I'm still pretty upset, so we'll see. But at least I won't be freezing cold this time around. Hopefully tomorrow is a better day. All right, till next time.